Okay. So, thank you all for coming here this evening. This is the second time I'm visiting this place. Earlier, there was one another lecture of mine here, and I thank the organizers first for calling me here. They have taken a great risk. There were police calls and visits here to them just to find out exactly what I'm going to talk with you all. I don't know why. Because I'm just a lawyer. I'm here in capacity as a lawyer to talk about a law, trying to explain the law, what it is, and both at substantive part, what the law is, and at practical level, what we should do when this law is already here. So that is why this lecture is divided into two parts. I call it Birthright is My Freedom. On 19 December 1961, a date which almost everyone, all of us would know, Goa was liberated and joined India. Has anyone thought why we say Goa liberation and Indian independence? Why these two different words are used? It is because if you open any normal dictionary, liberation is when you say you are sitting there and you have been tied to that chair. Somebody else comes and liberate you, break those ties. Independence is when you yourself break those ties and get out. That's the difference. Goa was, we say, liberated. And when you say liberation, one man's liberation is another man's invasion. That's the difference. And it is clearly given in any of the dictionary. So, when Goa was liberated, after liberation, the then Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, came to Goa. And in front of a large public gathering, he gave his speech. I would like to take you all to his speech at that time. When Panditji came to Goa in that meeting, people were excited. Recently they had gone freedom, so they started shouting, Panditji ki jai ho, Bharat Mata ki jai. Panditji stopped them and he asked them, what are you saying? Bharat Mata ki jai. Who is this Bharat Mata? What is this Bharat Mata you are celebrating? No one had an answer. He asks, we are on this land. There is this whole mass of land from the Himalayas to the sea. Are you calling this land your Bharat Mata? There are rivers here from Ganges to, you have this Mandavi and Rivari river in Goa. Are you calling these rivers Bharat Mata? No. Bharat Mata are the people, you, who are residing in this land. My dear friends, a country is nothing different. I'm making a serious statement. A country is nothing different from a housing board society. A lot of you might be having experience of living in a building in a housing society. Country is similar to that. You have a structure, a land, and you have people who are residing in it. they have together created a constitution, a rule book for themselves. They themselves, which they have created together, sitting together, and they run their own business as per the rules. And at the very bottom of, at the very base of this group is each individual who is the member of that society or that nation whom we call a citizen. So, in 1947, when India became independent, in 51 we created our constitution, and in that constitution we decided who are going to be members of this country, just like you have your members of your society. And who are these members? For that, Constitution of India is quite a big, bulky book. Nobody reads it, not even most of the lawyers. But at the very beginning, what this Constitution stands for is given in a very small paragraph, which we call Preamble of the Constitution. I would like you all to Google it and read it yourself. But in short, I'm going to tell you what exactly this preamble is. Very basis of our constitution, that all the members of this country, that is all the citizens, no matter which religion they belong to, which caste they belong to, since Hindu religion has many castes, or whether you are rich or poor, all the people will be equal before the law. This is, in one sentence, you can say what Indian Constitution says. Everybody in law, at whom you might be a very rich man, but when your rights are concerned, you have equal right to a poor man. A poor man has equal right to you as you, no matter what your religion is or any other social divisions you believe in. Everybody will be equal before law. When you read the preamble, just you realize that entire Constitution of India stands on 4 pillars: liberty, equality, justice, and fraternity. Fraternity is the brotherhood, that everybody should get justice, everybody is equal before the law, and liberty. We all are free citizens. Nobody is our boss. If you follow the law, within the law, you can do whatever you want. And nobody can question it if it is not illegal. Good? Are we all on same page, I hope? Now, Constitution has different chapters. Just 2 I'm going to mention right now are Chapter 3 and Chapter 4. Chapter 3 is your fundamental rights of the citizen. And Chapter 4 is something called what should be the policy of the government of India or any part of government of India to run its own business. That is directive principles of fundamental, right is one thing, directive principles of state policy. State policy is the policy of government of India, what it should be. And how the Constitution works is, the preamble, Supreme Court has called the key to the Constitution. It's like a machine. You put this key inside, you start it. Any government action must balance between your fundamental rights on one side and your what should be the government policy on the other side. And when it is perfectly balanced between the two, it will kind of levitate. Why? It had a certain direction to go. The Indian Constitution has a particular aim to create a welfare state. What Mahatma Gandhi called a Ram Raj. That is the aim of Indian Constitution. That we create a state where welfare of everyone is taken care of. And any act of the government is tested on this. Whether this balance is maintained between your fundamental right and what the state policy should be. The directions already given in the Constitution. Now today we have an act called Citizenship Act. It is actual Citizenship Act is based on another chapter of Constitution called Citizenship, which is chapter 2. On the basis of the chapter 2 of the Constitution, this Act of 1955 was framed. There have been several amendments so far. In 2003 amendment, something called National Register of Citizens was prescribed. And in 2019 amendment, which we are discussing and hearing a lot nowadays, says it has created easier path to citizenship to a selected group of minorities from a few countries, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan. These three countries they have selected, and not all minorities from these countries, a selected number of minorities. They said Hindus there are being persecuted by the local government in Bangladesh. This is what the government of India says now. I have quite a lot of Bangladeshi Hindu friends. They are not saying it. I have friends on Facebook, but government of India says in its own wisdom, yes, they are being persecuted. Maybe government of India knows better. Then they have selected other groups, Jains, Christians, Sikhs, and these groups, if they apply, we will grant them citizenship within 6 years, and for others, we will grant citizenship after 12 years, once they apply and prove that they have been persecuted. I don't know how the government of India came to this criteria, but what we need to see on the basis of the test given in the Constitution. This is the entire, whatever you have been hearing about CAA. Now, if you will think, if it is such a small thing, just procedural thing, right? Some people are persecuted somewhere. How we are affected? We have to see the beyond what is going on. Then what we realize is, I have titled this first part a mischief in law. You must have read the pamphlet or given by the organizers here. The membership of this country, the citizenship, is given in chapter 2. When we read that chapter 2 of the Constitution, we find the word used there is person. Just person. Any person. Government of India is making a law. What the law says? A person of XYZ religion. If government was really serious, they wanted to do something legal. First, what they need to do? Change chapter 2 of the constitution and add religion there. Instead of changing the constitution chapter 2 and adding a religion there, here they are adding in the act which is below the constitution, person of XYZ religion. In law, you must have, a lot of you must have come across your own civil cases. You file a suit, you ask for injunction, and you have to show a prima facie case. That you have a case to the court, right? What do you show? That I have a case. Here, a clear prima facie case is laid out. You don't change the citizenship chapter, you change the act. First, act gets power from which place? It gets power from the constitution. You make a change here, alright, but first you have to make it there. And this view, which I am expressing now, has already been accepted by Supreme Court. And whatever challenges that were made to this act are already accepted. Court has issued notice, but somehow we have been hearing a very strange statement from the Chief Justice of India, who says, I will decide on this matter only after violence stops in the country. I don't know what the code is scared of. Maybe some ghost of some dead judge might be scaring them. I have no idea. And here we stand. So far so good. Yes, they can make a change, but can they? There is more than 70 years have passed since our independence. A lot of cases have happened in the courts, and finally there was one very big judgment made by several judges together called Keshwananda Bharti case, which many of you might have heard if you are students of law. And finally, Supreme Court said, you can change anything and everything in the Constitution, but what you cannot change is the basic structure of Constitution of India. And one of the basic structure of the Constitution of India is secularism. That is what I said in the beginning. In front of law, all citizens will be equal. No matter what your religion or caste or money or whatever you have. Law will not differentiate. If you have done a particular crime, you will be punished for that crime and that crime only, no matter who you are. And that is why even at the final hearing stage, it is impossible for the government of India to finally succeed in this law. Then why this law is made? If you have seen the arguments in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, which were taking place when this bill was passed, a lot of opposition members were raising the same question. You know that this will fail in the court. Why are you doing it? Yet because government has a majority, they went ahead. About 14 changes were suggested. All the changes were thrown out. And rightly and wrongly, we have a law. And this law, yes, it is under challenge, but we all know how the courts work in our country. 10 years, 20 years, we don't know. So till that time, we have to be prepared ourselves on what we should do next. the practical aspect of this law. So I will not waste much of your time. I will come to the part 2, and later on you may ask me any questions if you have. What is going to happen now? You all will remember the Home Minister of India in the Parliament has categorically said that we have passed this law. Two things he is talking about. One is called Citizenship Amendment Act, which I have covered in part 1. And secondly, he is saying, I am coming out with something called National Citizens Register. Both the things I will not change. There is a clear-cut statement made in the Parliament, and what government says in the Parliament is more important because it is recorded. And after that, there was a huge hue and cry all over the country. Prime Minister of India, the current one, in an election speech in Delhi, said, I am not going to implement. This is all lies. We have friends from press, you will remember this. Who is lying here? As a lawyer, I will go by statement made in the Parliament, which is part of the record of the Parliament, that Government of India is going to implement the National Citizenship Register. When? And what this National Citizenship Register is. Before we come to NRC, now suddenly Government of India has come with a gazette notification that they are going to implement a what they call NPR, National Population Register. And today I am here in front of you because I want to make you all aware what is going to happen next, which is something important, concerns with all of us here and outside, everywhere, all over India. There is a clear-cut date. From 1st of April 2020, this coming April, to 30th of September 2020, National Population Register exercise is going to take place. In that, you will be sitting at your home. Government officers are going to visit your place and they are going to ask you certain details. That now most of you will be aware with something which used to take place earlier called Bharat Ki Jana Ganana. Sure? No, government servants used to come and then take information. This is not Jana Ganana, this is National Population Register as amended now. And they are going to ask you certain funny questions. What they are going to ask you is, what is your name? What is your father's name? What is your mother's name? What is your father's name? What is your father's mother's name? And again, what is your mother's father's name? And what is your mother's name? These are the details they are going to gather. I'm sure all of you know names of both the sides of your grandparents. But do you know the correct spellings? You should know. Now what is going to happen is, a lot of evidence which is on record shows that this National Population Register is going to be the basis on which the next National Citizens Register is going to come. So there are two different books. One book is a general population register where as per the chart all this data of yours will be stored. And once they have this data, the next book, the exercise for the next book is going to happen. We don't know, maybe next year, maybe before next election for sure. And when we are dealing with government of India, remember, we all know what happens. My name is recorded in my Aadhaar card as SHRINIBAS, in my passport as SHRINIWAS, in another document something else, in another document something else. No matter what you try, at that point of time, whosoever that person sitting on the bench is, the way he records it is final. So, in NPR, if your name is spelled in one manner, and then when they come for the next book, NRC, if there is a spelling mistake, they will put a question mark there. And it is going to be a very, very, very big question mark. Why? What they are asking? In NRC, are you a citizen of India or not? They will put you in a doubtful category. Your name, your father's name, mother's name, and your grandparents' name, they all should be same in all documents. And why so? This comes out from Section 7 of Citizenship Act. Why NPR has this? Why are they asking my mother's father's name? Hello. Section 7 of Citizenship Act says Section 3 of Citizenship Act says if you are born from 26 January 1950 to 1st July 1987, then your birth certificate is required, plus 26 January 1950, remember 51 I said Constitution was accepted by all of us, we the people of India. So that date, after that date, if you are born, your birth certificate and either of your parents, either father or mother, who is an Indian, who was born in India. So 3 documents you require. Somebody, either your father or mother, born before or after 26 January 1950, their birth certificate that they are born in India, and your own birth certificate. We are here in Goa. We need to remember one more date, which very beginning initially I said, 1961. Under Section 7 of Citizenship Act, Goa, Daman and Diu Citizenship Order was made. May I ask how many of us are Goans here in the group? Just raise hands. And how many are non-Goans? Yes, those who were born in Goa. By Goan, I mean those who are born in Goa. So we remember to remember this, these two dates now for next few months. 26 January 1950 and 12th December 1961, from which the Goa Daman Diu citizenship order comes into force. Your birth certificate. Now, we have a mixed crowd here. Some are senior citizens here and some are quite young. So that is why I am making this, clear distinction. If check your birth certificate, see whether you are born before 61 in Goa, if you are a Goan, and your parent, either of them, mother or father, if they are born after 1950. These two dates you have to clearly remember. What you are looking at, your own birth certificates. May I ask how many of you have your own birth certificates with you in this crowd? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you know what a birth certificate looks like? This is my birth certificate. You make an application if you are in a municipal area. You make application to your local municipal council or corporation. There is a prescribed fee of 25 rupees. You pay that fee and get your own birth certificate. In case there is a spelling mistake, or you want a change in the agreement, this certificate, you have to pay 50 rupees for that change. Most of the people in Goa, if they are born after 61, their births are recorded in the municipal council as well as panchayat. Unfortunately, when we talk about India, most of the people don't have this document. And the very first thing you need to see is how your name is spelled. I was told by my parents, I never had this document. I did everything on my school leaving certificate and college degrees and everything. Till now. I was told by my parents that in my birth certificate my name is SHRINIWAS. And that I was born in Mapsa, in a place called, a nursing home there. When I got this document, I came to know my name is spelled SHRINIVAS, and I was born at a place called Dharmanand Hospital, Khurlim, Mapsa, Goa. If I don't know this detail, and this government servant, I don't know who he is going to be, either it will be something called BLO, if you are aware of who a BLO is. That is the person who looks after your voters list. Or maybe, if you are lucky, it might be your postman. If he comes to your house, and if you are lucky that you are in the house, he doesn't find that there is a lock on your house and goes away. Somebody in the house who can tell him all these things. Then in that case, if I am in the house and this officer comes there, I give him two wrong details, different spelling, a different address. He will record it. The consequences of that I will realize when the second officer will be recording my name in the citizenship register. And what are these consequences? There is another law called Foreigners Act. This law was not made by Government of India. It was made by the British Imperial Council. So they were Britishers. They were ruling this country. What do they care about the people they rule? In that act, they made one section 9. Now, all of you are aware there is a law, criminal law, basic criminal law of India called Indian Penal Code. Are you all aware of it? IPC so and so we say. IPC, he is 420 we say. He has cheated me. Or any section you might know. How the Indian criminal law functions? You do a particular crime, there is an accusation against you. You don't have to prove that you are not guilty. Please remember. Police will will accept the complaint against you, register FIR, file a case in the court. It is for the government to prove that you have committed a crime through the government advocates known as public prosecutors. Not you. It might be murder. It might be rape. It might be whatever. You are sitting there, A lot of times we see these criminals going to court. They will come like, film stars. Nice haircut and all, They don't even have, they are not chained or anything. They come to the court. They know. It is for government to prove. We are not responsible. This section 9 of Foreigners Act says, if there is a complaint against you and the investigating officer gives a report to the Foreigners Tribunal, that is the court set up under the Act, then it is your responsibility to prove that you are not a foreigner but you are an Indian citizen. And how you are going to do it? Tribunal will pass an order. NPR says this man's name is SHRINIVAS. NRC says his name is SHRINIWAS. So there is a question mark that was put at that time. You are in a doubtful category. So you are supposed to be arrested, sent to a prison called detention center, and from that jail, now you prove that you are not a foreigner. How are you going to do that? You may not have your birth certificate. You are saying you have your school leaving certificate. And it might be possible that it is inside your house, but you are inside that detention center. We are sitting here in Asagaon. Other side of the hill is Mapsa city. Already a detention center has been opened in Mapsa. If you make a single mistake, it is there we all of us are going to land. Already done. And this is exactly what happened in Assam. In Assam, as per the 2011 records, the population of Assam was 3 crores 11 lakh 69,272. When this entire NRC exercise took place in Assam, in the first round, about 40 lakh out of these 3 crore 11 lakh 69,000 were found to be doubtful citizens. And in the final count, 19 lakh people have been declared foreigners by foreigners tribunals, and huge mega detention centers have been opened for them. They all are supposed to go to these detention centers, and from there they are supposed to prove that they are not foreigners but Indian citizens. Yes, that's how it works. Population of Goa is 15 lakhs. We are a small state, but you can imagine what can happen here. In Goa, there is another problem we are facing as Goans. Now, again at the beginning of my speech, I told you the difference between two words, right? Liberation and independence. We Goans think we are Indians. Now Government of India, through their great wisdom, this so-called citizenship order, has created a new category called deemed citizens. We are deemed to be citizens of India in the eyes of Government of India. You know, in maths you have that, think that this is X. So we think that we are Indians. It is ordered under that Citizenship Act, under that citizenship chapter of the Constitution. Believe that you are Indian. But we were liberated from another country. Before 1961, I would require a passport to go to Mumbai, because I was a citizen of a foreign country before 61. The Portuguese government still believes that we are Portuguese citizens. So what they are doing is, they say that yes, this was our land. Now it has been invaded and occupied by another country. Because one man's liberation is other man's invasion, right? We know our citizens, they have their own national citizenship register. Up to 1961. What happens after that, we don't know. So if I go to the Portuguese consulate in Panjim, which is on the way to the High Court at Panjim, with my father's birth certificate that he was born in 1946, which he was, my father's marriage certificate that he got married to somebody, and my own birth certificate to show a complete chain that I am so and so's son, Portuguese government will make an entry in their register that he is our citizen's son, so he is our citizen, and will give me something called Portuguese passport. Now, one thing I can tell you very easily, we Goans are Indians. I can say this statement. Why? Because like all Indians, what we love the most? Anything that is free. We are getting a free passport. to a country which is member of European Union. That means the entire European Union is open for us. Take it. I went through the records, the statement made by the earlier Chief Minister of Goa, Manohar Parrikar, when the issue first arose. He said, at that time, you may check it, in Goa there are 2 lakh Goans who have taken, that must be, I think, I don't know, 5 years back or 10 years back, whatever, 2 lakh Goans who have taken Portuguese passport. Today I have been informed that number has multiplied to 4 lakhs and population of Goa 15. So at one stroke, all 4 lakh people are not citizens of India because Indian Constitution does not allow dual citizenship. The Chief Minister at that time said, within 6 months I'll find a solution. And today we are here. He has gone up, or wherever he is now. There is no solution to this problem. 4 lakh people at first stroke will go to, I don't know what is the capacity of detention center at Mapsa East. Maybe they require a larger jail. And then, again, the government of India is so intelligent that they have made some special provision for people, what they call OCI card holders. In this new act itself, CAA Act, they are going to, if I have understood it correctly, decide it on case-to-case basis. OCI is Overseas Citizen of India. If you made a claim that because your father was a foreigner, you are a foreigner, can you be an overseas citizen of India? They are going to decide it on case-to-case basis. That means, if you have taken, you are Mr. B, a Portuguese passport because your father, Mr. A, was a foreigner. Your mother C, she should be a foreigner, isn't it? Your brother D, foreigner. Your sister E, foreigner. Your wife F, foreigner. Your son, up to XYZ, all of them are foreigners, isn't it? Or can be, maybe. Not just 4 lakh, almost 7 lakh people of Goa will be affected only because the present government has not thought properly what they are doing. I have been told out of this 4 lakh, about 3 lakhs are Christians, about 1 lakh are Hindus. So this question is not of religion. It is whether you have taken a Portuguese passport or not. Now what do we do about this? See, let us see what people in Assam did. We said more than 3 crore 60 lakh, whatever the population is. The figure was what? 3 crore 11 lakh 69,000. Out of that, first initially they said 40 lakh people are out of NRC, doubtful citizens. People of India are not fools. We, common man, has his own intelligence. When they did it in Assam, immediately what people did, and this is what I have come to tell you all, first thing, get your birth certificate done properly. They did it. And then your first do it for yourself, then your parents, and if necessary, grandparents. Two dates I have already told you. 26 January 1950 and 12 December 1961. I am not going to say what government is doing is right or wrong. They have already done it. Whether right or wrong, they have done it. What I am going to tell you is what you should do to protect yourself. I am not going to tell you how you should fight if you believe this is wrong. I am telling you how to save yourself in first place. Because answer to a sword is not a sword. Answer to a sword is shield. First, defend yourself, and then you decide whether you want to fight back or not. And this is your shield, your own birth certificate. So please, just like what all Assamese did, yes, they had to go through a lot of hardship because it was a new thing, nobody knew what is to be done. So a lot of mess has occurred there. Yet, you just look at the numbers. Out of 3 crores 11 lakh, only 19 lakh, which is comparatively a smaller figure, although it is more than population of Goa. But they saved themselves by making their documents ready. And this is what I am requesting you all. Please make your documents ready. Government works in a different manner. They have targets, and the government officer wants to, deliver results. Some babu somewhere must have, went running to the home minister. Sir, we have got 40 lakh people, and surprisingly, a democratically elected government, instead of worrying about this figure, becomes happy. They announce, they celebrate that we got 40 lakh people. They are not citizens of India. You must have heard this statement made by the government higher ups. They are celebrating their mistakes. And finally what? 19 lakh. And who are these 19 lakh people? The talk. The entire philosophy behind this government is that this government is fundamentally against the very basic principle of Indian Constitution, that everybody should be equal in front of law. They don't want it. What they do? They said a huge number of Bangladeshi Muslims have come to Assam. We are trying to catch them. And how many Muslims, forget Bangladeshis, they got? 3 lakhs. And who are these people? The usual suspects. Rural and urban poor. Tribals. Who are actually living in forest. They don't have clothes to wear. Yes, in India we still have those kind of tribals. Yes, we do. This is a reality. And these tribals, they don't have any documents. Forget, they don't have anything to eat. And they die out of hunger. There are every day hunger deaths are reported. And these tribals are now declared foreigners. About 13 lakh of them I have been told by a tribal association. And they are going to land in this jail called detention center. At least I hope they will get something to eat. Here in Goa, the prisons in Goa, because we are Goans, twice a week they provide fish. Other days it's all veg food as per the prison rules. So hopefully those tribals who were dying out of hunger will get something to eat. And I say hopefully, because already we are hearing cases of about some 25, right now what is the figure? Deaths in the detention center. And this is where all of us will land, no matter whether you are a Modi supporter or not, no matter whether you are a nationalist or an anti-national, you make one mistake in any one document, the birth certificate. And why I am insisting on birth certificate is the very first and only way you become citizen of India is birth. Why? The great intelligent government of India is saying, you have a passport. On your passport, you are allowed entry in any other country in the world as Indian citizen. But for citizenship, under this act, under this NRC, your passport is not valid. We are not going to accept. You have your PAN card, which says you are a tax-paying citizen. It is not a valid document. You have a voter's ID and your name is in the voter's register. Only a citizen can vote, but they are not going to accept it. Whatever document you bring on, they are not going to accept. The only document remains in that case is your birth certificate. What you are going to say, look, I don't know who you are. I know that I am alive. I know that I was born here, and I have a certificate to show that I was born at so and so place before 1961. My father was born before 1950. So I am an Indian citizen. I have made no mistake in the spellings. Exactly my father's spelling and in his birth certificate and my birth certificate are same. So make a proper entry. And that too, if you know who is that government servant who is going to visit your house from
BLO.
1st of April to 30th of September. No, I'll tell you a good solution. Yesterday I had a meeting again with a group of slum dwellers in Chimbel. They quickly understood what I am saying. What they decided that we'll make a group in our area. We'll take our voters list, and you know how a voters list is structured? It has your house number. After house number, you have some 10 names A, B, C, D, E who are residing at that house number, who are voters, and then you have your voter ID card. So he says, these 10 names, I will keep 10 birth certificates ready. Keep the connecting birth certificates of the parents. We will make them ready. We will find out exactly who the officer is going to be. We'll catch hold of him. When he comes, before he comes, we will call him. Hello. So we will invite him. We will sit with our voter ID card and the voters list, and we'll just tick mark. All 10 are here. And about those who are below 18, we will take their birth certificates. Like I have two children. One is 5 years old, other one is 10 years old. And fortunately, I have their birth certificates. So I will sit with the officer, mark it down. So their names are entered in National Population Register. So in future, whenever Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah decide, they are going to come out with NRC, we will be ready for it. This is what people of Assam do, and this is what you all should do. I can say that because I have already made my documents. First I did my document. That's why I know 25 rupees, 50 rupees. And I want you all to do this yourself. First do it for yourself, then help your family members. Then help, maybe you will have some, maybe your maid servant can afford it, ma'am. But there might be somebody who cannot even afford 25 rupees in her neighborhood. She might need help. And we all have to do this together as citizens, because we are intelligent. We are more intelligent than Government of India. Government of India tried something called demonetization on us. We have survived demonetization. Tall claims were made. God knows how many crores of black money will be caught. What happened? People survived. There is an inner intelligence among all of us. I am making appeal to your inner intelligence. If you find whatever I am saying is somewhat sensible, please secure yourself. And that is why I came here to talk with all of you. I'll come to that now. I'll take your questions. At the end, I'm winding up now. I just want to make a small, chronology ko samajhiye kind of a thing. At the very beginning, before independence, there was a great national leader by name Lokmanya Tilak. We all know his name. He said, "Freedom is my birthright." Today, we are here to say, my birthright is my freedom. Please make your birth certificate ready. so that you will not lose your freedom. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Now I can-